I can hardly believe that I'm writing this or that it happened, but I am, and it did, so here we go. I, 28 female, have been with my boyfriend, 29 male, for 3 years. Every now and then he has to go to Utah for a few days because his team has a customer service branch that operates out there. I got a text from one of his co-workers who's become a friend of ours, and it said that on the trip my boyfriend cheated on me with some guy on the customer care team. I didn't believe it at first because, first, my boyfriend is always identified as straight, and second of all, I just couldn't believe it. When he got home, I asked him about it, basically expecting him to confirm that it was nonsense. Instead, he got quiet and had us sit down. He said he had to tell me something. He said it was true, he did have a one-night stand with a guy. I couldn't believe it. I asked him if he was telling me he was gay or bisexual, and regardless, cheating is cheating. He insisted he wasn't gay at all, but the strangest thing happened. He said that when he was at dinner with his Utah co-workers, he suddenly became gay. I was like, what? What the heck? He said he thinks it was due to the altitude. I was like, you're kidding me, right? But he said that after he'd done it with this guy, he got really confused as to how all of a sudden he was gay. He said that higher altitudes can have an impact on how people think and on their emotions, and he thinks that the high altitude made him gay temporarily. He said that as soon as he landed back home, he was back to being straight. I was like, did he get drugged or something? But he said that wasn't possible. They were always in a group at dinner, which is when he became gay and was only alone with the guy afterward. He said he'd done a lot of thinking on the drive back from the airport, and he confirmed within himself that he's straight and that his only conclusion could be that he was temporarily turned gay due to the altitude. I was like, whatever, I guess we're breaking up. He looked at me confused. I was like, gay or not, you did cheat on me. He said it wasn't his fault, that human actions are just a byproduct of accidental brain chemistry, and that his chemistry had been altered through no fault of his own due to the higher altitudes of Utah. He said he couldn't believe I would blame him for something medical and scientific that was out of his control. He really looked bewildered that I was angry about this. I don't know, maybe he's convincing and I'm a rube, but I'm starting to wonder if I'm overreacting. Like, I know it sounds insane, but is it possible to accidentally change your sexual orientation due to emotional changes brought on by altitude? Is that possible? And if it is, am I overreacting? Should I throw away a 3-year relationship for this? He's acting like I'm being rude and weird. Am I the idiot? Girl, by that logic, anyone flying in a plane becomes gay for the duration of the flight. Even if it were possible and it's not, he's telling you that he can't help but cheat on you because human actions are just a byproduct of accidental brain chemistry. Even if he's not into dudes anymore, there are plenty of girls he can cheat with because, by his own admission, he can't control himself when he's attracted to someone. You are not the idiot for breaking up. Yeah, was the altitude change because he went up Brokeback Mountain? The veracity of his claims of temporary gayness isn't really the issue. The issue is, he thinks it's okay that he turned gay and he offered no plans to go to the doctor to treat this particular altitude sickness. He'll go back to Utah and sleep with that guy again because he can't help it. He doesn't want to help it. He wants to sleep with men. He will never stop sleeping with men. Leave now. This is hysterical, honestly, but I have met some people who will really come up with insane crap and try to act like you're the crazy one because you don't believe it. LOL, I can see OP's ex-boyfriend trying to pull something like this. The ridiculous excuse is just a distraction from the real issue. He's making her focus on the wrong issue. I, 28 female, have 4 siblings, one of them being disabled. The other 3 have kids. This post is about Alicia, 35 female, and Brianna, 32 female. Alicia has 4 kids, the younger 3 have severe disabilities. Brianna has 3 kids and the oldest and middle have the same disabilities as my older sister's children, and the younger have Down syndrome. They're both stay-at-home moms. All the children are in the disability programs my country offers, but there's not much money left after all the medical bills of therapy and meds they need. Their husbands have okay jobs, but with the severity of the children's disabilities, it's hard to get by. On the other hand, I'm single, child-free by choice, went to university, am totally debt-free, have a master's and work from home in my dream field. Last month I bought my first house. I invited my family and friends to a housewarming event this Saturday. I paid for 2 caretakers to care for their children so they could come. Everything was fine and fun until the end of the night. My friends had already gone home and it was the 3 of us. They started to talk about me settling down, marrying and having kids since I bought a house. I reminded them that I didn't want kids. This talk circulated several times until they asked me why for the 10th time. I told them besides really not wanting to have a child, I love my freedom. I love the life that I already have. As I think about our family DNA, there's a high chance of having a disabled child, which means more work and sacrifice. I don't want to sacrifice myself. I want to have money for hobbies, to take care of myself, to buy expensive clothes and hairdressers, to travel, to live, and not just to survive. I love them, they're great moms, but I don't want to sacrifice to be the same. I would be an awful and spiteful mom, and no one deserves that. From everything I said, the only thing they listened to was about not wanting a disabled child. They went on a spiral about how much of a blessing their kids are, how I'm an egotistical witch, and so much more. They blocked me on social media and aren't answering me in the family group chat. My mom called to give me a speech about how my disabled brother, 36 male, was a blessing in her life, how he is a gift from God, and uninvited me from Christmas because my sisters won't come if I come. I called my brother 39 and his 2 children are adopted. He admitted a long time ago this was due to the high chance of disability in our family. He told me my delivery was rude, but they also weren't great. They should know not everyone wants kids. He encouraged me to apologize because I know how they are. Not the idiot. Not wanting kids is a valid choice. Not wanting them because there is a high risk of disability, which means inevitable struggles, plus could be incredibly unfair to the child, is also valid. A lot of people fuss about how not wanting a disabled child is ableist without addressing that the chief reason is we live in an ableist society that begrudges even basic rights for disabled children and adults. Honestly, it sounds more like your sisters want you to make the same decision in order to validate their decisions, which is a very human thing but not really fair to you. Your delivery didn't suck. Your siblings had 9 other chances that day to say okay and back off. I would have brought out the brutal honesty after the 3rd time. You know your limits. You know your family history. It isn't ableist to say that. I, 25 female, went wedding dress shopping a few days ago. It was a nightmare. My fiancé is from a religious family and it was important for him to get married at his family's church. It's not something I've always wanted for myself, but his family is helping to pay for the ceremony and this means a lot to him. The problem is that his mother insists that I get a modest wedding dress. I tried on a bunch of dresses that were modest and I hated them. I don't like puffy sleeves. I hate looking covered up. I look like Princess Leia if she were from Alabama, not Alderaan. This is not what I wanted. It was my mom, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, and my maid of honor at the bridal shop. They were trying to cheer me up, but I wasn't having it. My sister-in-law Peggy was the worst. She loves shows like Bridgerton. Anyone who knows me knows I can't stand that show. She kept hyping up how my dress made me look like someone from the show. After 4 or 5 dresses, I was fed up and wanted to call it quits, but she wanted me to try on one more. I snapped at her. I told her to shut up about Bridgerton, and I didn't want to hear about that show again for the rest of the day. We ended up leaving after this. Peggy was upset and she and her mom had just left. My mom was angry at me and said that what I did was unacceptable. I'm just frustrated because it feels like everyone is hijacking the whole wedding process, and I don't even have a say in what I want. It's like this wedding is more about what Peggy and my mother-in-law want. Am I the idiot for telling my sister-in-law to shut it about Bridgerton because I hate it? Not the idiot, but it's not about Bridgerton, it's about feeling you're not in control of the wedding and quite possibly the marriage. Why are you signing up for this life? This is the nightmare your life will be every single Sunday. And your fiancé has already told you he doesn't have your back. His mommy and daddy are more important than you are at your wedding. Girl, this is a preview of your life in the future, with your in-laws running the show. House? Gotta be close enough that they can visit. Kids? Mother-in-law knows how they need to be raised. Is that what you want? Why are you doing this? Darn. It sounds like you're marrying into a controlling family. The wedding is a big day, but it's just one day in what is supposed to be the rest of your life together. It's not an absolute deal breaker that you have different ideas for the wedding, but it's absolutely something you need to have a deeper conversation with him about. Honestly, the wedding is the least important aspect. It's one day and done. So I, 26 female, am currently several months pregnant with my and my husband Felix's, 27 male, first child. Things have been going well, and one of the great things is that Felix is a builder, so everything with the nursery went pretty smoothly pretty fast. We agreed at the start about what kind of vibe we wanted to go with, and it's already done. We figured that we get it sorted as soon as possible so it wasn't another thing to worry about later. My mother-in-law has always been a bit of a nightmare, but has been better since the news that I'm pregnant, though not without issue. For example, she told me that I should lose some weight and that it wasn't healthy for me or the baby. She knows that I used to struggle with anorexia and I'm not any sort of unhealthy weight. In the past, I've kept my mouth shut and let Felix deal with her. As the nursery has almost been completed, she suddenly decided to invite herself around more. I work from home currently and she comes in on the regular, asks me when I'm going to have lunch and, "Oh, could you just pop me something in too?" And then we'll wander into the nursery and start rearranging things. I know this sounds stupid, but once she literally bought an IKEA bag full of stuff that she put in there, it doesn't match. But I've never said anything beyond, "Oh, thanks so much for the thought," etc. Yesterday, when she came around uninvited, she looked me up and down and said, "Really? Joggers? Thank God Felix isn't here." And then walked into the nursery and started asking me where the pillow she'd put in the crib had gone, why I'd taken out the fairy lights hanging on the wall right by it, etc. I explained that they were potential safety hazards to the future baby and that I'd taken them out. She started with, "Oh, well, I've had 3 children, and I really think you should take more of my advice," and then looked me in the eyes and said, "You're really not going to be a good mother at this rate." I don't know if it was the pregnancy hormones, but I just stared at her for a moment and then told her to get out of the house. I'd been up all night, had loads of work, and wasn't in the mood. She got very uptight about it and then left. Felix says he'll talk to her and tell her that she shouldn't be reorganizing anything without our permission. Still, I don't know if it was just the hormones and I'm being unreasonable. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Felix needs to shut this down like yesterday. She's being openly disrespectful to you. She can no longer come over uninvited. She needs to call and schedule a visit like everyone else. Also, change the locks if she has a key to your home. No more bringing unwanted items for the baby. While you appreciate the thought, you and Felix want to prepare the baby's room the way you want it. This is your baby. She had a chance to decorate as she wanted with her kids, and now it's your turn. No more passive-aggressive comments to or about you. She will continue this around your child if this isn't shut down. She will talk badly about you around and to your child. This is disrespectful to you and should immediately be stopped. Actions have consequences. Also, change the locks if she has a key to your home. Yes, the mother-in-law is trying to assert power. She's putting things in the baby's room to put her claim on it and turn it into her territory. Her disparagement of OP as a mother is an attempt to set herself up as the expert that OP will have to obey. OP, your mother is a huge idiot though. You deserve better treatment and you advocating for yourself doesn't make you an idiot. Also remember, if she's treating you this way, she could treat your children this way too, especially little girls since comments she made were rooted in misogyny. Take care. Update: am I the idiot for refusing to let my mother-in-law redecorate our nursery? Felix and I sat down and discussed how to manage his mother going forward. I told him everything she'd said to me and he was furious with her. He asked me exactly what I wanted done in the future so that she'd understand where our boundaries are and follow them. I told him I'd rather him speak to her alone at first so that I wasn't immediately made out to be the bad guy. I acted on the advice and a locksmith has been called to change the locks on the house. And Felix has ordered us a Ring doorbell off Amazon with the assurance I'll be able to put it in. He hates doing the electrics, but you know how it is, I'll leave it to him, LOL. And then he called up his mother-in-law and organised a lunch date for today so they could talk. He got back in the afternoon and as he walked in the door, he smiled at me and went, "Sorted," and characteristically went to go and make himself a cup of tea. I got a message a few minutes later from her saying she was very sorry for what she'd said to me, that she was in the wrong, only going to visit when invited, not going to go into the nursery anymore, and was going to respect the rules and boundaries that he and I set for our home life and for our child. And after adding that, she was sorry for her comments about my appearance. I'll believe it when I see it, but at least it's a good start. We've all agreed to go for dinner at some point to talk about future expectations when the baby comes. I talked to Felix and he said she'd been offended at first and didn't believe she'd done anything wrong. He also specifically said she hit with the spiel of, "Oh, I must be such an awful mother then." And he told me he'd told her, "It's not about that, it's about you disrespecting my wife, our child and our home. If you continue, you're not going to dream of being able to see your grandchild." She was apparently and unsurprisingly sulky, and he told her to apologise, and she said she would, and, to her credit, did. Thank you for all your advice about how to handle things going forward with the locks and everything. The amount of support was crazy, but I can't thank you all enough. I feel so calmer about the situation. I don't know if she'll stick to what she said going forward, but at least boundaries have been set and I know that Felix has my back. Thank you. Great update, and I agree with you on the I'll believe it when I see it, but hopefully she's really gotten the message. Felix rocks. Hopefully your mother-in-law will be serious and respect boundaries. Also, that crap about how she's raised 3 children and knows better than you about what endangers babies? I hope this is over, but people who feel empowered enough to do what your mother-in-law did rarely give up their control easily.